Now, it's time at 1:47 for my daily interview series, Money Talks. For the last 20 years, the Great North Air Ambulance has provided emergency services across the North East, Cumbria and North Yorkshire, an area of around 8,000 square miles. The service undertakes rescues throughout the region and over the last 2 decades has responded to no less than 23,500 distress calls. What an incredible record. It's staffed by 60 volunteers and the Great North Air Ambulance has no public funding and is reliant on donations. And before we introduce today's guest, let's hear about some of the work carried out by this incredible charity.
Hold on tight. We are here.
You've been hit by a train, I'm here to look after you.
Keeping you in safe hands.
I know, sweetie.
With your support, we can keep holding strong, so we can continue providing critical care to the North East, North Yorkshire and Cumbria.
Well, for those of you listening on GB News Radio, some really inspiring images there of volunteers rescuing people by helicopter, not least people who are out hill walking, a lot of rugged countryside that they cover. And I'm delighted to now welcome David Stockton. He is the CEO of the Great North Air Ambulance and he is my latest guest on Money Talks. David, great to have you here in the studio. What an incredible organisation that you are part of. Tell us about how it started.
So thank you, first of all, for having us here. Basically, as you know, we're celebrating 20 years this week, so on Friday it's our 20th anniversary. So it was started off, a gentleman called Graham Pickering, basically, and it was a very inspirational chap who's decided that the region needed some support, basically. So 20 years ago, basically from his bedroom and from his home, he helped to inspire people to be funding a Great North Ambulance, because as you said before in the intro, it is purely by the benefit of our supporters and whether they be corporate or private individuals who help us to do what we do. You
do cover some of our great national parks, areas of world-class scenery where I've often walked.
Don't tell everybody that.
As a lad with my family, really amazing. But we should say, even in the spring and summer, these are serious mountains and hills, and the weather can turn, and people, even experienced hill walkers, can get into trouble quickly.
Absolutely, yeah. A big part of what we do, especially on our Cumbria side, so we have one of our air ambulances stationed near Penrith, and that one is mainly to do that whole area that you're talking about, up the Cumbrian area, around the Lake District, and into Northumberland, basically in the hills. So you're right, we do sort of hope that people will turn up and basically be well equipped to do what they need to do.
Now, you need the thick end of £7 million a year, right, to turn over. The pandemic was obviously difficult for you. Yep. People, by definition, weren't out hill walking. Your finances took a turn. You still had to maintain the helicopters, even though they weren't being used. Extremely sophisticated pieces of kit. How many helicopters do you have, and how serious is your financial predicament now, David?
So we've got 2 operational helicopters every day. So we operate 365 days a year.
Amazing. All volunteers?
Volunteers and staff, so we have a combination of both. We have some paid crew, pilots, doctors, paramedics and support team. But yes, we have also a team of volunteers that help us on that journey as well, basically.
But no support from government, no support from taxpayers, all on charitable donations?
All charitable donations. So we get help from corporate businesses, basically, so those who can afford to. And it's interesting, I was listening to your article earlier on there, you know, energy companies such as that some healthy money out there. Now, I'm not one to advocate who should spend their money where, and we're very grateful of any support we do get, but if anybody is in that position where they could help us, we along with many other charities, will be very grateful for help.
So the pandemic did its thing to your finances of the charity, and now, of course, a big part of your running costs is fuel, specialist aviation fuel for your helicopters, which of course has rocketed in price. I mean, are you seriously concerned about the future of the Great North Air Ambulance, given where you currently are?
Well, I think it's right to be aware of it and to be concerned. We have had really generous support for all of that 20 years. So I'm not sat here thinking we're going to fall over tomorrow, but we do what we do by the grace of people's goodwill. So the costs themselves are one end for us, basically. So our increase in the cost, our fuel's gone up about 3 times, electric about 5 times, I believe. So they're direct costs.
Because you're not filling up at the local garage, are you? I mean, this is serious kit that you're using.
25,000 litre
helicopter fuel is very, very expensive.
But I guess the biggest problem for us is as people start to feel the squeeze and people feel that finances are tight, they have less money to be generous with, basically. So that's our biggest worry, because even the savings and the costs, of course, they're adding expenses to us, but our biggest ones, our supporters. We're not like a retailer where we can go out and increase our prices or have a sale or whatever. Do you mean?
And here's the thing, it seems to me, you're right, as the squeeze comes in bigger, it gives me no pleasure to say that, but clearly it's happening to anybody who's willing to look. It may be that people, you know, do opt for the simpler, cheaper things in life for their recreation, like going for a lovely walk in the Yorkshire Dales or in Cumbria or in the Lake Districts or so on. So the demands on you may be even more at a time when your income from donations is being squeezed, David.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one we're very aware of, basically, going forward. So RTCs are our biggest area, cardiac arrest, which, again, all these things could affect you or I. There's no saving for that. Like you're saying, walking hills, climbing mountains, riding a bike, going for horse riding. They're all activities which could need our intervention at some point. So we're a service which could be required by all of us.
Just give a little shout out, seeing as we're here on national television, to your volunteers and your message to people who may be thinking about donating to you during these tough times.
So from my point of view, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much, and I think you'll find that from each and every member of our team. Basically, we are eternally grateful and often overwhelmed by the generosity of people in their time, their money. We've got people leaving us benefits in their wills, based on legacy donations, which is a major part of our income. And I can't tell you how grateful we are. We read the letters every day of why people are donating to us. We have supporters. We have family members of people that maybe we haven't been able to make a difference to, but we bought them time, and they come and tell us how grateful they are for that. And also we have survivors come and see us, and they tell us, and basically that's what keeps us going. Basically, when we know the impact we've had, we know we've given somebody the best chance possible, and we've got many survivors out there who basically, due to the efforts of the team that are out there. So that's a team basically which goes everybody from the volunteer to the supporter, to the operational guys, the doctors, the pilots, the paramedics that go and make the difference on the end there. So it's a whole team effort.
And just in the last few seconds, David, of course, your charity does great work, but prevention and caution is even better than rescue. Just in a nutshell, your message to people who are venturing out into some of our more remote areas, beautiful as they are, they can also be dangerous.
They can really be dangerous. So please go prepared. Let people know where you're going. Have a plan B. Have an action plan basis to what you do from it. But by all means, if you need us, make that call. Basically, we'd be only too happy to help.
David Stockton, you are the boss of the Great North Air Ambulance. It's a pleasure to have you here in the studio. My latest guest here on Money Talks. What an inspirational charity there to end our show with today. That's all we got time for. Thanks for joining me. I'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. because this is GB News. I'm Liam Halligan, and that was On the Money.